If you have a car that you want to sell, you will want to watch this video. I sold my last car, a BMW 320d M Sport, in this exact way. First, you need to know some basic information. It sounds so simple, but it needs saying. You need to note down the following: your car's mileage from your odometer, any physical damage to your car's interior or exterior. Note down where exactly on the car this is, and the date of your last MOT, the one that passed obviously. This video is not about selling your car if it's failed its MOT, but you might still get something from it if you're in this boat. Now you need to price your car realistically. You can't just make up a number out of thin air. But before we get to this, it's important to know what different options there are in selling your car, because this will have a bearing on the price you ultimately get for it. You can sell your car to a dealer, an authorized dealer, or an independent dealer. An authorized dealer is one that is authorized by the brand. So in my case, I was selling a BMW, so I could have found a BMW authorized dealership. Typically, they sell new or nearly new cars, and this didn't fit the description of the car I was selling, so an authorized dealership wasn't for me. You get more flexibility with independent dealers, but I don't typically sell a car to an independent dealer either. There's a reason for not selling to dealers, and that's something I'll cover later in this video. So that's the two types of dealerships. Then you can sell to a car selling service like WeBuyAnyCar. Whilst they're still the most popular because of their first mover advantage and their fantastic jingle, there are other services like this that are out there now, like Motorway, like Carwow, and Carwow. They all operate in a similar way, though the prices they offer can be different somewhat. You put your registration number in, you answer some details about the condition of your car, how many sets of keys you have, the mileage, the MOT, etc., and then you get quoted a price. If you accept this price, you choose a location near to you, go to it, drop off your car and collect your money. When you arrive, you are very likely to find that some of them try to knock down the price even further from what you got quoted. Now, unless you've particularly misrepresented what you entered online, you should be able to hold them to their quoted price. Then of course you can sell privately, i.e. directly to someone else. You will get more money for your car selling it to someone privately if you do it well almost all of the time. A dealership and a car selling service need to buy low and sell high, as they are businesses trying to make a profit. A private individual, on the other hand, could be doing it for two reasons. One, they could be doing the same, trying to buy and then flip for a profit, or two, they could be buying a car for their own private use. Even if they are buying it to make a profit for themselves, they are still likely to offer you a better price than a dealership or a car buying service might. At least that's my experience. A car buying service like WeBuyAnyCar is likely to offer the next best value, simply because they have lower overheads. They won't have a large space or a large staff base to pay for, so they, in theory, should be able to offer you a better price than a dealership. But obviously they'll still want to maximize their profit, so beware of that. Dealers I stay away from unless I'm after a part exchange, which I never am because I never really want to buy a car outright anyway. And even if for some crazy reason I did, I know that I could sell my current car privately for way more money than I could do for the value of a part exchange at a dealership. So either way, a dealership is a no-no for me. I use services like WeBuyAnyCar to find the minimum price. That becomes my floor price. I know it's only up from here if I sell privately, because I know that if I try to sell privately and it doesn't work out, I can always go back to WeBuyAnyCar or the like and sell it to them instead, assuming the price that they've quoted is still valid. Just a quick pit stop. If you're enjoying this video and like videos on money and personal finance, then do subscribe to the channel. You'll be glad you did. Okay, back to the video. So now I've got my floor price. Now I do a search online for cars similar to mine, of a similar age, of a similar mileage, of a similar condition, to see what others are pricing their cars at to the private market. These are the sites I use to do that research. AutoTrader, they're tried and tested and have a large volume of cars for sale there. Facebook Marketplace, I join all the relevant groups and find out what others are selling their cars for. I found Facebook Marketplace has a really active community for buying and selling cars. And of course an old one, Gumtree. They still have a very active car market themselves. If I do want to extend my research further, there are others I can seek out as well, like Your Car or Janja, but the three I've mentioned are the core that I use, and they're the ones I used when I was selling my BMW. Once I've looked for similar cars to mine, similar age, similar condition, similar mileage, then I would arrive at a realistic price that I want to achieve for my car. So let's say WeBuyAnyCar gave me a floor price of £3,750 for my 10-year-old BMW. Now, as I said, this is my floor price. I then do my research and find similar cars listed for anything from £3,900 to £5,100. Remember, these are listed prices, not sold prices. Just because someone has listed their car at a particular price does not mean they will be able to achieve that price. It just gives you an idea of the market. Typically, the higher a price, the longer it will take to sell. I mean, think about it. If you were after a car and you saw a car at £4,500 and you saw one at £5,100, what is the likelihood that you would inquire about the more expensive car first, if at all? In a range of prices, the ones priced at the higher end will naturally get less inquiries and likely take longer to sell on average than those at lower price points. This is just the elasticity of demand, to borrow an economics term from my university days. Now it's time to decide on your price point. This will depend on how quickly you want to sell the car and how important it is to you to achieve the best price. It's a balance between time to sell and price that you have to decide on. Once you've decided on a price, it's time to write your advert and decide where you're going to place that advert. I'll tell you what I did to achieve the sale of my BMW. Feel free to copy my exact method. I hope it works for you just as it did for me. Firstly, photos. It should be a given, but I've seen so many private adverts that don't have photos of the car that they're trying to sell. I wouldn't give a listing that doesn't have photos a second thought unless it was a ridiculously low price point, and even then I'd approach it with caution. So I don't know why people think they can get away with listings without photographs. I drove my car to a place where the background wasn't too distracting. No people, no litter, no other mess, no shops, no other distracting background. You want all the attention to be on your car. I parked at a quiet road where I could take photos on my smartphone peacefully, and on a road that didn't have too much footfall. No homes were directly visible in the background either. The background was a wooden garden fence, completely uninteresting. I took 15 photographs and ended up using 10 of them. 6 of the external, 4 of the internal. My 6 external shots were a photograph of one side of the car, a photograph of the other side of the car, a photograph of the front, a photograph of the back, and 2 at angles that made the car really stand out. Of the 4 internal photographs I took, 1 was of the odometer, showing the exact mileage of the car, 1 was of the back seats, 1 was of the front seats, and 1 was of the central console where the music controls and the knob could be seen. Then I crafted the advert. This is what my advert said. A bit of sales spiel at the top, and then the main stuff that every buyer would want to know. I wanted to achieve £4,700 for my car, so I gave myself a little bit of room to negotiate. I listed my car in 3 places: Auto Trader, Facebook Marketplace, and eBay. Well, 4 actually, because I also put a for sale sign inside the car itself. So as I drove it around town, if there was any local interest, then they could also get in touch. All of these methods generated many inquiries. Fielding all these inquiries can be time consuming, but it's not difficult. Some people never respond after the initial inquiry. Others lowball to see if they can grab themselves a really good early deal. And some people I feel just want to haggle for the sake of it and aren't actually interested in buying a car. But in amongst all of this, there are some serious buyers. When you have a serious buyer, they typically want to arrange a visit so they can see the car up close and take it for a test drive. All buyers will want to take a test drive. Take that as a given. As a rule, I always go with them on this test drive. I don't permit them to take the car out on their own. And I check that they have a valid driving license, which they have to bring with them before I let them in the car. I make this requirement clear before they come to see the car, so there are no surprises when they arrive. When I sold my BMW, I received about 30 to 40 inquiries through those various platforms. And from that, about 12 people actually came to see the car. I rejected all the offers that were between £3,900 and £4,200. My WeBuyAnyCar floor price was working, because remember, that was at £3,750, and all of my private offers so far were above that. But I wanted to achieve £4,700. And someone did offer me that exact price on my second week, but after I accepted, they went silent, and after a few days, I just had to move on. Following all this, after 2 to 3 weeks, I had to reset my expectations of what my car could achieve. On the listings, I lowered my price point to £4,700, now thinking that if I achieved offers of £4,400, I would take it. Within 24 hours of making this edit, I had someone contact me through Facebook Marketplace saying they could come down and see the car that very evening. Now generally I prefer viewings in daylight, because I think viewings in daylight are more likely to achieve a sale because you can see the car in its full glory in the daylight. But of course, I will accommodate other viewings when I can. This chap turned up on time at the time he promised. He was pleasant, took it for a quick test drive up and down my local area, and then offered me £4,650 on the spot, just £50 under the listed price, saying that he'd use the other £50 to fill up the tank on his way home. Given that I was willing to take £4,400, I had to contain my excitement and casually said, "Sure, you've got a deal." A short bank transfer later, I had confirmed funds in my account. We did the ownership transfer online. I always do a paper written confirmation, like a receipt, that both of us sign in case something goes digitally wrong. I handed him all the other paperwork for the car and we were done. He drove off with the car. I hope this helps if you're trying to sell your car. To reward those of you who are still watching, I've got 2 further tips for you other than what I've already shared. Number 1, First impressions count. A clean car looks like a cared for car. So spend a bit of time and money to make sure the car looks its best. Having a clean car inside and out can make a real difference, so polish up the exterior and give the inside a good hoover. I go a little bit beyond and pay for a decent valet service, as I strongly believe I will recover this with the increased value of the car. I look at my car as if I was the buyer before all of my viewings. Number 2, get an MOT done. Having an up-to-date MOT reassures buyers that there are no major mechanical faults with the car and that the car is in good running order. So either make sure your current MOT test certificate is a recent one, or consider getting another MOT done on your car if it isn't. Right, that's a wrap. If you like videos on money stuff and personal finance, then find that big button below that says subscribe and tap it. You'll be glad you did. See you on the next one.